twin boys separated at birth by a corrupt medical center in a rural community of Sonoga, would one day reunite in the most unexpected way. Sonoga's community had long been plagued by sinister rumors surrounding its only medical center. Whispers in the town suggested that the hospital was involved in selling babies born to teenage mothers to ritualists, or facilitating illegal adoptions. While these allegations were often dismissed as mere gossip, for one young, unsuspecting couple, the truth would soon change their lives forever. Tola lived in a quiet village on the eastern outskirts of Sonoga. She was married to Benji, a humble and hard-working farmer. Though they didn't have much, their love for each other and the life they were building together brought them great joy. Eager to start a family, they were overjoyed when Tola discovered she was pregnant just a few months into their marriage. She began attending antenatal care at the community's medical center, located a few miles from their home. As her due date approached, Tola and Benji were filled with excitement and anticipation. They eagerly awaited the arrival of their child, blissfully unaware of the secret Tola carried, a secret even she didn't know herself. Tola was carrying identical twins, and the day of delivery would reveal a shocking twist that would alter their lives forever. It was harvest season, and Benji, being a farmer, was busy with the bustling demands of the time. Buyers from the city flocked to the village market to purchase fresh farm produce, keeping him fully occupied. On that fateful afternoon, while Benji was at the market selling his crops, Tola suddenly went into labor. Determined and strong-willed, she managed to prepare herself for the journey to the hospital. Before leaving, she sent a message to Benji through their neighbor's 12-year-old daughter, asking him to come as soon as possible. Upon arriving at the community hospital, Tola was immediately rushed into the labor ward. 2 matrons and a nurse attended to her as she labored through the delivery. She successfully gave birth to a healthy baby boy, but to everyone's surprise, another baby was on the way. After a challenging delivery, Tola brought twin boys into the world. Exhausted and overwhelmed, she passed out shortly after. By evening, Benji arrived at the hospital, his heart bursting with excitement at becoming a father. When Tola regained consciousness around 8 p.m., she found him sitting beside her with a proud smile. However, when her gaze fell on the baby cot, she noticed only one baby. Panic gripped her as she asked, "Benji, where is my other baby?" Confused, Benji responded, "What other baby? I gave birth to 2 boys this afternoon," Tola insisted, her voice trembling. Benji was stunned but remained calm, unsure of how to process this shocking revelation. Tola called for the nurse on duty and demanded to know the whereabouts of her second child. The nurse, who had only just begun her shift at 7 p.m., innocently replied that there had only ever been one baby in the room. Tola's distress escalated, drawing the attention of other nurses, who rushed in to find out what was happening. They decided to wait until morning for the matrons and nurse who had been present during Tola's delivery to resume duty and provide answers. That night, Tola cried uncontrollably for her missing child, while Benji, though deeply troubled, tried to comfort her. He believed his wife's story but felt helpless without any evidence to support her claims. By morning, the matrons and nurse from the previous shift returned and were confronted with Tola's accusations. To Tola and Benji's disbelief, they vehemently denied the allegations, insisting that she had only delivered one child before passing out. They dismissed her claims as delusional, asking her for proof that she had been carrying twins. Tola's pleas and protests fell on deaf ears as the hospital staff continued to deny any wrongdoing. She wept bitterly, her heart breaking at the thought of never meeting her second son. "My baby has been stolen from me," she cried. Benji, caught between believing his wife and the lack of evidence, felt utterly powerless. The weight of the situation left the young couple devastated and without answers. After spending several days in the hospital with no resolution to their plight, Benji and Tola reluctantly decided to take the surviving twin home. What should have been a joyous occasion was overshadowed by grief and uncertainty. Tola was deeply traumatized, haunted by the loss of her child. Benji, ever the supportive husband, did his best to comfort her and care for their remaining baby, whom they named Samuel. Life slowly moved on, though the weight of their loss lingered. Tola and Benji eventually had 3 more children, but Tola could never forget her missing son. The pain of not knowing his fate remained etched in her heart, a wound that time could not heal. Unbeknownst to them, the corrupt matrons at the hospital had sold her baby to a wealthy couple who lived many miles away from Sonoga. The couple, unable to conceive even after 14 years of marriage, saw the child as an answer to their prayers. They lovingly named him Daniel, unaware of the heartbreaking circumstances that had brought him into their lives. 20 years had passed since that harrowing day at Sonoga's medical center, yet Tola's heart still ached for her stolen son. She often found herself staring at Samuel, wondering how his twin brother, if alive, might look. Samuel had grown into a handsome, intelligent young man with a kind heart, inheriting his parents' resilience and humility. Tola always told him he had a twin, even though the world doubted her story. On the other side of the country, Daniel lived a life of privilege as the son of a wealthy business magnate, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson. He was named Daniel for his miraculous arrival into their lives. They adored him and spared no expense in his upbringing, but Daniel always wished he had siblings. Being an only child was a very lonely experience. Just like his twin, he was kind, humble and resilient despite the wealth and affluence of his adoptive parents. He worked in his father's company. He was next in line to inherit his father's million-dollar business. He was prominent, and yet quiet young man. At 20 years old, Samuel got a rare opportunity to leave Sonoga and travel to Dula for a business apprenticeship, a major city in the northern region of the country. Tola and Benji, though hesitant, encouraged him to go and seize the chance. With a teary goodbye, Tola whispered a prayer, hoping this trip would open new doors for her son. While on his apprenticeship, Samuel decided to go to the university, which he did and graduated 4 years later. His bachelor's degree got him a job at a reputable firm. Samuel, a hard-working and dedicated young man, threw himself into his work, impressing his supervisors with his diligence. He got many opportunities to travel and represent his company at many events. He became very successful in his career and life became better for him in the city, and also for his family in Sonoga. There was an international event where major companies were invited. Samuel was supposed to give a pitch for his company, but Daniel was invited as a guest of honor with a seat reserved at the front row. The time came and Samuel was called upon to represent his company. As Samuel approached the podium, the audience's polite chatter gradually died down. He adjusted the microphone, his face calm yet determined as he prepared to deliver his pitch. In the audience, Daniel Peterson sat comfortably, scanning the brochure in his hand. When his eyes lifted to the stage, he froze. The man standing on the podium looked like his reflection, not just similar, but identical in every way. For a moment, Daniel thought he was imagining it. He blinked, leaned forward, and stared harder. It wasn't a hallucination.